here at the top. A member of the team, and it's Hosa. A strong Protoss. It's Hosa, man.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is.
Right.
People just say it wrong. And
it is Hosa vanvanth.
With 4 fingers. I like that. I don't know what that means, but it's kind of cool. I got this one. Don't worry.
All right.
It's all taken care of. I got it. I'm not going to say his name. And here we have, in the bottom middle, the blue Protoss. He is known as...
Sako.
I love those intros.
That was justifiable, man. Everything Chisato does is justifiable when he wears the shirt with the moose and it says justifiable on it.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, it says justifiable, and it's either a moose or a donkey, and it has a mustache, and it just says justifiable.
Nice. So it looks like both players going with standard play, actually doing almost the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's PvP. You make your gateway at 12. If you don't, you might lose. PvP actually a lot of the time is very rich. Now, what I was trying to say before the game started very suddenly, was that a lot of these bigger maps lend themselves to, you know, it's like, oh, it's a big map, he might not 4-gate me on it, so maybe I can be a little bit more risky, but on that same note, you have to be careful of that. There's certain maps, like the last map where you have a wide ramp, where it's a big map, but if you don't prepare for a 4-gate, you can just lose because the ramp is so wide. It's similar to Tal'Darim Altar. It's got a very large, wide ramp, and then there's really just no ramp once you get up that ramp. And
right.
So this map actually has a normal ramp, but it's huge. But even so, you have to be very careful. 4-gate's a lot less popular now, but you still pull it off.
Here we see both players putting down their cybernetic score, getting... Strangely enough, it looks... Did one of them use more chrono boost than the other? No, they both have the same chrono boost, but one of them slightly ahead in pro production. And I think that's because of the Zealot that's coming out. So we are going to see a Zealot from vanvanth.
Yeah, actually, Soccer he hardly used any of his chrono. He's about to hit 90 chrono boost, and that's why he's behind. So you were actually right. He didn't use really any of his chrono. He's chrono boosting that Cybernetics, where he's saving up a lot of chrono. But he has taken his second gas. I was going to say he's going to 4-gate for sure, but he did take that second gas, so I'm kind of curious to see what he's saving that chrono for. Maybe just trying to make sure he either has enough units or gets his warp gate up fast enough just to be safe and be sure, so he isn't really too concerned about his probes.
And it looks like both players almost doing the exact same thing here. Using almost all of their chrono boosts on the Cybernetics core. And the Stalker coming out. vanvanth Stalker out quite a bit earlier, and he also already has the Zealot. I'm not actually sure why that Oh, okay, I see. vanvanth has a Zealot and a Stalker, and Soccer is about to have 2 Stalkers. And here we do see 3 more gateways going down, which I think the Observer saw. I'm like looking...
QXC's learning here at the GSL how the setup works. It's actually really confusing at first for newer casters.
There's 2 screens, and we have control of one of them, and you guys only see the one we don't have control of. So sometimes I'll say something, and you guys haven't actually seen it yet.
But here,
anyways.
2 Stalkers against 1 Stalker, even if the Zealot's there, goes to a very overwhelming victory for Soccer, but he's actually pulling back because he realizes there's a forward pylon there, and he's going to figure out pretty soon that some Stalkers are about to warp in there. The warp gate research is done.
Here is warp gate. The gateways are going to change momentarily. They're going to go into transformer mode.
And they are warping it. They're warping into warp gates right now. The first 4 Stalkers are being warped in. He does have a sentry. Soccer, though, he's desperately trying to get a second sentry out. This is going to be really hard for him to hold.
Good force field there. Does hold the army back, but 2 pylons there. I don't see how Soccer can really hold this. If he can deny vision, is 3 sentries enough to really hold that base of the
He
ramp?
should be able to hold it enough. He keeps warping in more and more sentries, and eventually he'll have an overwhelming amount of units. A lot of these resources going into these pylons, and he's just going to keep force fielding. And once you have 4 sentries, you can pretty much force field forever. Even has 5 now, and actually, this is going to work.
This is insane. vanvanth probably put down almost 6 pylons there. Really wants basically 1 round of units on the high ground, and it's over. Soccer will get overwhelmed. Sentries are not good at actually fighting against this type of army, and Soccer gives up his ramp. This is looking really scary for him right now.
I actually don't know why he gave it up. He had enough energy for another force field, even 2 more force fields, but even so, now that these units are in, Soccer actually could lose here after what was, until now, a brilliant hold. All it's going to take is another round of units.
He has a pylon in vanvanth's base. That's really interesting. And it looks like
he is gonna hold this just barely.
I think this is not just barely. That's 5 Stalkers, a little bit of micro here. This is going to be great for soccer. I think vanvanth used too much money putting down those pylons.
GG.
And that's it.
Well, when I say barely, in PvP, if you get like 1 round of extra units in, it just changes overwhelmingly. Like 2 Stalkers and against 1 Stalker is obviously very overwhelming. And the same can be said of 5 Stalkers to 4 Stalkers, just because Stalkers do so well and the Zealot count doesn't really matter all that much. But, you know, he had those sentries in there, and he must not have. I'd like to watch the replay. Maybe he didn't chrono boost his gateways. It's like you said, he spent a lot of money on those pylons. I feel like if he had just had warped in another round of units, he would have crushed through, but he just didn't do it. Maybe he was on cooldown. Maybe he didn't use his chrono boost efficiently. I'm not entirely sure, but it was weird that he gave up the ramp because he had enough energy to keep force fielding. Maybe he just wasn't sure he did, and it was just a tense moment. He just had to pull back, so...
Yeah.
Weird, though. Turned out kind of strange.
really interesting way that ended up.
Because at first it looked like he's going to hold it no matter what. He's got enough sentries. He's invested too much. And I'm like, he's just going to be able to force field forever. Then he just stops force fielding for some reason. I'm like, oh, now he's actually just going to die.
Yeah. But at that point, vanvanth had already used...
I figured it out. QXC.
All right, let me know.
So when he was warping in those pylons, they were never actually finished, so he didn't get an extra round of units. He could have warped them in at that other pylon that he had, and then he would have had another whole round, but he actually banked up a lot of money, and he didn't use that cooldown that he had that one time. He was just going to, I'm not going to warp in until that pylon's done, so he missed a round of units, and that's why he didn't have enough. He figured it out. He solved the mystery.
I mean, that and he spent like 500 resources.
Yeah, that's true. That's true as well. Yeah. Well.
Oh, is it true?
It is true.
Is it true?
It's true. It's not false. I wouldn't lie to you guys.
Not false.
All right, the countdown's starting again. The next map is going to be dual site, like you said.
Very exciting map. 2-player map. Really only see it in the GSL. Not a lot of tournaments have picked it up yet. But pretty interesting looking map. It's got 2 watchtowers in the middle, gold expansions both sides of the bases. The map, whatever. There's gold expansions in your main.
No, there's not, you liar. We only say truthful things here at the GSL.
Sorry.
So, the probes are mining. We're going to jump into it here in just a second.
In just 1 second, maybe 2 seconds. Possibly,
maybe 3 are just going to keep counting.
Possibly 4 seconds. 5 seconds.
All right, here we go.
And here's the game.